Hello and good morning to everybody, and welcome to the November edition of the Town Hall. And the first thing I would like to do is thank everybody for just a fabulous group of questions this month. All that are, I think, will be relevant and hopefully allow us to get better as an organization. And so I appreciate the input, and although we can't do everything that's asked for and all these great questions, truly they cause us to think about ways we can improve our business. So I'll just jump right in with the first question. Is a question about name badges, which I've got mine on here. And that they turn around out in the field and then you can't see the name and so forth. And this person has a stat 9 out of 10, which I do a lot of rounding and probably wouldn't agree with the 9 out of 10. But what I have noticed is they do turn around, and typically when they're doing that, we've attached another thing to the name badge rather than just a little plastic thing that I have on here. And that allows them to swivel. See, mine doesn't swivel very easily, and actually it won't. Even if I turn it around, it will flip around the right way. So the easy solution is here is just use the plastic without the swivel. There are some other suggestions here, including the little metal badge that goes and you got to put it behind your clothes and so forth. Those get lost. Secondly, printing our name on both sides is really not an option because on the back of the name badge is our mission statement, close to our hearts. So the best suggestion here is just use a little plastic thing which does not swivel, and it can be attached right as I do to, this is on my coat here, but if I had my shirt, I'd just tuck it right in there, and it never is around backwards. But I notice the same thing, and I have been PATD on a lot of things, but I'm not really asking people to not use the little swivel things. And occasionally I actually see one of those little swivel things that's a University of Kentucky symbol, and it drives me nuts. But what can I do? Hey, go Cats. The next one is, will we be able to wear jeans during inclement weather? And the answer is yes. We're not going to change this policy, which we just instituted last year. The sign for you to be able to dress, warmer and maybe, in the jeans as it's suggested, is if the school is out of session. And that's just going to be our key. So if the Jefferson County schools are not in session, you can come in the jeans. There is rationale to dress warmly on each and every cold day, but that's an own personal dress choice, and we'll let that go out. Now, the next one's getting to some benefits and policies. The first one is a rather lengthy question about PTO, and this is salaried people donating their unused PTO in a given year. And really, PTO for a salaried person is just an identification of there are days available for you to take off where you're going to get paid no matter what. And we want everybody to use those days because it's good for you and to save them as you go through the year for sick days if you need those. And there are some carryover provisions for that, so you can build up a sick bank, if you will. So if you get sick, you'll be able to access those. But this person is talking a little bit more about, hey, I need to want to donate these. And there's a couple different reasons mentioned in here. And yes, it's true, our previous policy was in violation of the suggested IRS guidelines, and we can't really have a system or don't have a system that would do this. But, as a salaried person, in the past, when we were allowing you to donate that PTO time for a charity, the company was actually making the deduction, not you. And that might come as a surprise to you, but salaried people get paid every week. It's one of our luxuries of being a salaried person is that we don't clock in and clock out. We probably work many times more hours than the 40 per week. But the flip side is you get paid every week the same amount. And so if you went 52 weeks and got 52 checks, and then you had 2 weeks of PTO in your bank, and the company donated those to a charity, we would have paid for that year for you 54 weeks. And I don't think a lot of people look at it that way. So besides all the good reasons to take your PTO and the IRS guidelines, it's just a practical one too. But if you have more questions about our PTO policy versus other companies, feel free to see either John Eckman or Todd Schmiedler. I reviewed this once again in a catch-up meeting with them and make sure I'm on board with how we're doing it. And both indicated that we have a very, very strong policy in this area and one that is very beneficial to our employees. And so check with them for more details. The next question relates to the lunch expense if you're out traveling on the overnight basis. It references the recent October 2nd T-mail, which I think is the relevant document for the travel policy. And it says the expenses for lunches have been denied. and they shouldn't be. We have gone to a policy that says $30, whether you like to eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You're out overtime on company business. That's a cap. So feel free to use it. We're not opening up the entertainment to, got people in the home office taking somebody out to lunch who's not traveling, and, we expense that, and we're buying lunches that way. But if you are out traveling, as per the policy, we're not discerning between breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And so that's a $30 for all day, subject to those requirements that are in there. And so anyway, we need to make sure that all supervisors are aware of the policy, that Expensible is working the right way, and hopefully all that will take care of itself. I'm going to skip over the road warriors and their need for reevaluation of salaries. I'll come back to that, but we are going to address that. And then the last one in this section on benefits relates to rationalization for not having employees earn sick days as a benefit. Well, that's just factually incorrect. You are earning sick days every day that you work. It's in the form of our PTO. And PTO is designed to have paid time off for a couple weeks vacation when you first start, and then the balance is sick days. And then if you're in the field or what have you and you're hourly employed that way, they actually accrue their holidays in their PTO, which is a little bit different than us where we have defined holidays at the home office. But I think all that's very important to know is that the PTO system is the one-all catch-all for vacations, holiday, sick, time off for any reason. So we do have that, and so I think if you have a question that you don't think we have a good benefit for that, go see the benefit dudes and dudettes. They'll educate you on benefits, and remember, they're not benefits unless we know about them and we use them. So anyway, next one is recognition. This is a question that goes back to our change over the last few years of not taking the entire offices to the spring and fall meetings. And this person's wanting to have a jacket or a shirt for those meetings when they're left behind. We're not going to do that. We have limited resources, and you may not be aware that the substitute here that we did was we're now doing family events. And I know ours got rained out or weathered out this year at Kentucky Kingdom, and we have our rain checks, but the other areas had theirs. And the cash, which is much more than the jackets and almost, as it turns out, some of the costs of the meeting are now going into a benefit for you and your families to have a fun time together, all of us as a company. So we're not going to add to that by adding more costs for shirts and jackets. Those are available to be purchased at a reduced cost through the Wildman catalog, and we give you stars every year on your anniversary to purchase a shirt or a jacket as well. Those can all be redeemed through the Stars program, or you can buy other stuff like Bose stereos, TVs. And that is a shameful plug for the Stars program. So that's the purpose, that we're not going to buy those jackets, and we'll move on. The next one slips in right here in the middle. It's called engagement. But basically the question, and I'll read it verbatim because I think it's an important one. What has happened to our no room for egos in politics philosophy? Egos in politics are growing, and the ones we have that have them seem to take pleasure in having them. I thought we were a team. Well, we are. And, without knowing who you're referencing, we can't help you, and we'd love to help you because I see a lot of great humble leaders at Trilogy. And I see a lot of great culture, and I'm not going to go on about how important it is not to have egos in politics because I think we all know those. And so I see mostly good. And I'm not naive. I know there's probably some one or two people out there that are not exhibiting our values and having egos in politics. And I see that occasionally. I dealt with one just recently, actually pretty harshly. And so we can only deal with them when we see them. So bring them forward. I'm not sure this is the best forum, even though it reminds me to talk to everybody about no egos in politics. I think the best forum is if it's your supervisor, you go to the supervisor above the supervisor, or if you're not comfortable in that, again, we have a great employee services team, compliance hotline, and twice a year we get to talk about it in a confidential way, employee surveys. But we don't tolerate egos in politics, and by and large we don't have them. We have a lot of engaged employees that are doing happy. So, and if you're one of the persons out there that's trying to flex your ego muscle, shame on you. We know that is not a good thing, and it will be career limiting, which we have an acronym for that. That is a CLM, career limiting move, so don't do that. Again, here's another comics for forum specific excuse me, and it's about the Halloween party, which those that attended and everybody, we absolutely enjoyed it. They gave me some love for encouraging participation. I didn't do a whole lot of that, other than we got a good culture, but wow, fabulous costumes. I give the whole accounting team that put it together for everybody, led by Heather Ritchie, who showed true passion for this event. We love it, and it's just a fabulous thing. So thank everybody who was involved in coordinating it, the chili cook-off, the cooking that was done, everything. I think we all ate a little bit too much, so Jenny's on us on the wellness program for that, but you got to celebrate every now and then, so thank you very much. This next one, there are two here, relates to traffic struggles, flex time in the home office, and can we consider changing that? Can we? Yes! I think everybody will be happy to do that. We've been thoughtful about this, and we are aware that the bridge traffic and some of the other traffic woes that are all coming related to just the economy heating up, more people out moving around, something we should address. So look for some communication very, very shortly. We're going to wrap it around a 7:30 to 6 o'clock time frame, and we're going to let supervisors be department specific. We're not allowing anybody to work from home or commute from home. That's not what flex time is. What that means is we're going to allow people who, traffic-wise, want to come in a little early, to come in maybe at 7:30, as early as 7:30, and then we're going to allow people to stay till 6 if you want to be a latecomer in. It won't be everybody. Most of us will continue to work our same cycles. And again, we're going to let supervisors do it because every department's different. And we can't have everybody in the department come in at 7:30 and then our people in the field are wanting to get questions answered, so there's nobody around to take calls. And so it's going to need to be crafted per your department and to meet the needs of the people we serve, which is the field. So there will be some capabilities here. It actually could even be a rotation, whatever supervisors deem and they get approved by their supervisors. So look for some relief on that and some flexibility as it relates to flex time. So anything. Now we're going to talk about some campus questions. The first one, would we consider building extra room, community room for meetings and what have you? And we actually have a lot of room in our campuses. Unfortunately, when their residents are all there, they're using it. And no, I don't think we'll be adding space in community rooms. Square footage to construct is very, very expensive. And for as much as we would use it, and we're not really that good at renting out things or really wanting people to be in that business line, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So we'll continue to find places nearby for our division roundtables and meetings. Occasionally we do have meetings. We've had meetings, where we've taken the leadership meeting to the field and met in a campus. We've had to commandeer the activities room, for example, to have those kind of meetings, which doesn't bother and disrupt the campus because it doesn't happen very often. But a good question. Along with the next one's a good question about daycare centers built in to our facilities and kind of the intergenerational thing. And believe it or not, we've done this before back in Milford, Indiana. And of course, that daycare center there is now our rehab gym. And it didn't work out. We found out a lot of employees did not want to have their children that close, or they use family for it, or they like the convenience of having the loved one located near their house. That way a spouse could pick them up, et cetera, et cetera. And I like the idea, but we don't know a single thing really about running and managing daycares. And we do well with our core competencies, and so we're going to stay with that, even though these are typically not-for-profits that do this, and they have a history of taking care of adults and children. And right now, for example, with our home care and our hospice cell, I think you're going to see us stick to our knitting and our focus on core competencies. And again, daycare is tricky business to operate within the confines of another business, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So good idea, keep those coming. And then we have another question and comment about the Veterans Parade, and really was appropriate for the time it was delivered during Veterans Week. And I think we would love to have more facility involvement in these kind of events, and we do. Hope you're following our Twitter feed at Trilogy Living. I saw a tremendous number of things happening around related to veterans, some fabulous events at the campuses and community. And this would be another one. And with 4, soon to be 5 facilities here in the Louisville area, absolutely we can tell you that this would be something we want to do. So Life Enrichment team, pay attention to this one, as well as one in just a little bit, and that's all good. The next question relates to, will we have full-time registered dietitians at the campus level in the future? And the probably not. Our campuses are deemed small by purpose, and because they're small, there's just not the workload for a full-time RD like there is in a hospital, and so forth. And with our focus on culinary arts and having chefs and chef people lead our kitchens, probably not. We're still going to be traveling with our own registered dietitians supporting our campuses. Obviously, if there's a requirement that we have 40 hours per week of consulting from our dietitians, we would have that, and one person would be based at a campus, but I don't see us having any campuses that size in the near future. So good question, but probably not going to happen. The next question relates to the incoming and going, by the way, electronic medical records rollout, and are we going to be hiring some people to do this? The answer is absolutely yes. We have one person already hired, and there are more coming. I heard we're interviewing a second person as we build a team to help support this rollout. And you're right, campus support will be involved, probably more intensely at the first, as this recognizes, with Springfield being our first one, which for those that aren't in the loop, I hear it's going very, very well. We're ironing out all the kinks, which most of those have actually been external to us, and I believe the State Pharmacy Board in Ohio has been probably the biggest hurdle so far on our electronic MedPass. But the orders, the charting, the other side of it going very well. And we will be building up a infrastructure to support this. These will be contracted employees, because as long as they're close to our heart, you'll see them badged like us, even though they probably won't be permanent full-time. It will seem that way because they'll be around for a 2 or 3 year period. So we will be providing additional resources in this area. But again, we're taking it a little bit slow. We're not trying to jump in too fast here. We want to learn the best way to implement this big change for our organization that we know is going to bring vast improvements, and do that in a very, very rational way. The last question of kind of campus orientation talks about volunteers. They're very important for our success. This person would value and appreciate any suggestions, and rather than do that here, I'd encourage you to call Sarah Mitchner and set up some time, or Rhonda Sanders Simmons would be another one. They'd love to talk to you about volunteer success, and actually maybe even put you in touch with some campuses who are having the very, very best practices here. And they just went through recently a change of business on life enrichment, and they may have some further written materials out of that, but we certainly want to do that. So before I close, I told you I skipped over a question related to the salaries and benefits as it relates to the Road Warriors. And this next one is, every role in Trilogy is important regardless. Would you approve a change of business for MDS for the company, and review salaries, competitive wages, who they report to, et cetera, and a bonus program? I'll address a little bit of that, as well as the Road Warriors. First of all, they report to the Director of Health Services because they're part of the clinical team. We're not going to change that. We have some executive directors who are RNs. We have some executive directors who are very clinically knowledgeable, but the right reporting is to our Director of Health Services. Or in the future, in some of our campus communities, we have a new position called Director of Post-Acute Services, as we kind of bifurcate our more clinical part of our business from our hospitality, healthcare, and our assisted living, independent living, and memory care legacies. So the answer to that is no, and the question on bonus is a compensation question. I don't see this as a bonus position. This is a staff position. Now, what I do see, and I see in the other question, is a need and a request to analyze whether we're paying market and being market in terms of compensation, which does include salary primarily. And we may have salary that's too low. We may have it too high in some situations. We have a very nice benefit package. And I think if you understand and have been following, we are going to get to your request as well as the request of the Road Warriors. And I think you'll see some activity on that this year. And I know it sounds like, oh, Randy's kicking the can down the road, and what we're doing is fine, and he's just delaying, but no, I'm not. Right now, we're in the middle of a rollout of a very, very impressive salary study and salary equity fairness with our new SHIP model. And if you need to learn more about that, I would encourage you to do that for our hourly employees. and they're the largest number of our employees. And so we tackled those first because we are clustered. We have facilities that are very close to each other, and we saw some wage inequities among facilities, and then also among how we were hiring into our facilities. And this program, which is a fabulous one that we've developed under the leadership of Holly Rickard and Melissa Bowling and the Employee Services team, just wonderful. We are hiring a compensation analyst in our 2015 budget to help with these kind of programs. And certainly next is up is our exempt employees, and be looking primarily into the field, which would include MBS coordinators. It would include all of our support positions, make sure that we're paying market for those, clinical support, dining services, physical plant, you name it. We need to be up to speed with what market compensation is all about, and that includes your salary. And so I think it's a great question, as was the Road Warrior question. The Road Warrior question also had something about mileage costs and everything, and with gas perking below $3, we're well above in terms of reimbursement and our gas bonus in that specific area. But on the question of salary, bonuses, compensation, absolutely we're going to take a look at it and look for more activity on there, and you'll be signaled by the hiring of that compensation analyst. But more importantly, as we gather data, and we'll be using outside firms, by the way, this just won't be Trilogy information. We always access so we can find out what competitors are paying, and then we'll make the appropriate adjustments and build that into our business, just like we are building in the SHIP program. We can't immediately go out and give massive increases, massive wages, and so that's why over the last few years we've been increasing the base wage to where we're pleased to say for 2015, no employee will be making less than $9.50 per hour in our organization. And we're going to beat the people ahead of time on the minimum wage. We're trying to get to a living wage for every employee, so we'll be very serious and purposeful about that. We're also going to increase the amount of the annual increase to 3% this year, and it will be graded upon performance. It won't be automatic. We're giving supervisors the ability, for example, if somebody's on an action plan or a work plan and they want to hold a wage freeze, they can do that. But anyway, 3%, good news there. So trying to build all that into the business because, we have a goal to be the best healthcare company in the Midwest. And I hope you'll see that we also have another big goal, and you'll see that we're doing everything in our power to meet that one, is we do want you to look back in life and say, hey, that was the best place I ever worked. And I'm committed to that. I know your senior leadership team's committed to that. I think this town hall, all 25 minutes of it, probably have rambled on here, is a commitment to, we want to be the best. And yes, we would, it'd be easy to just give everybody a lot more money. I don't think it'd make us any happier, especially after we went bankrupt. But the key is we are going to focus on what we can do to make your employee experience the best. And that includes having the very best culture with no egos in politics, having the very best work environment, and now some flex time. So whatever that means, I hope it's good. Remember, we have to support our customers in the field as we develop those policies, but we are encouraged. And in closing, this is November. We'll have a town hall, I'm sure, in December, but we've had another really great year. Clear your schedules off. Don't try to do too much during the holidays. Stressful time. Be well, exercise, maybe even a little bit more. We know we're going to eat more in our celebrations. We certainly have a lot to celebrate and be thankful for as we head to Thanksgiving and Christmas. And certainly want to encourage each and every one of you to allocate the needed time for your families and your friends, and reflect on what another great year we're having here at Trilogy. And it's because of each and every one of you and your leadership, plus the other 11,500 employees out in the field who are taking great care of each other and employees every day, that we can have the things we have. So have a great November, and keep those great questions coming, and God bless you. Take care.